board of Step Up Nigeria as we gather to celebrate the momentous occasion of our 5th anniversary. 5 years ago, Step Up Nigeria was established with a vision to fight corruption, promote transparency, and uphold integrity in our society. Since its inception, this organization has relentlessly pursued its mission, striving to make a significant impact on the landscape of corruption in our country. Today, we have the privilege of recognizing and celebrating the exceptional leadership of Onyi O, the founder and pioneer executive director. Onyi. Yes, Onyi has played a pivotal role in guiding and steering this organization, working with an outstanding team, you've seen them, to achieve remarkable results in such a short time. Her unwavering commitment, dedication, and passion have been instrumental in driving Step Up Nigeria's achievements over the past 5 years. At the board, we have been consistently impressed by the results and soaring benchmarks hinged on innovative ways to drive this complex message home to different audiences. We have watched Step Up Nigeria grow with significant inroads, establishing solid relationships with different audiences, as you can see here, uniquely tailoring messages and approaches to engage constructively to ensure that the message of anti-corruption is not only taken in, but absorbed and digested to achieve the necessary behavioral change. We are proud to say that Step Up Nigeria has emerged as a strong voice against corruption, influencing policies, raising awareness, and empowering citizens to demand accountability. Through partnerships, advocacy campaigns, and capacity building initiatives, this organization has fostered a culture of integrity and transparency, driving positive change across sections of our community. Today, as you sit with us to celebrate our 5th anniversary, the exhibition you have just witnessed is the tip of the iceberg. The rest of the morning will present reflections, milestones achieved, challenges overcome, and a vibrant discussion on anti-corruption. We acknowledge the collective efforts of our dedicated staff, volunteers, partners, particularly our single out MacArthur Foundation, represented here by Dr. Kole Shetima, for the solid belief in the vision of Step Up Nigeria. It was blind faith. Their unwavering support continues, and we're really proud and appreciative. Thank you, sir. I also thank USAID and other supporters who have worked tirelessly to advance the mission of Step Up Nigeria. And we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our partners who have been with us throughout the journey. As we look ahead, we are filled with optimism and determination. Step Up Nigeria's 5th anniversary is not just a celebration of the past, it is a catalyst for our future endeavors. Once again, on behalf of Step Up Nigeria and all those present here today, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. We are honored to have you with us, and we eagerly look forward to your insightful words as we celebrate this milestone and renew our commitment to the noble cause of fighting corruption. Thank you all, and let the celebrations commence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. What Miss Maureen didn't tell us is she's our team well-being expert. She's the one who builds the strong bonds that you can see on our team. So please just give her another round of applause. Okay, moving on very quickly. I'd like to kick off our goodwill messages from our partners this morning with a goodwill message from Dr. Kole Shetima, as introduced earlier, the MacArthur Foundation Country Director. Please let's give him a warm welcome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, and apologies for bumping up and rushing us through this process. I have 8 of my colleagues here from outside of the country. We have a flight problem. Lufthansa canceled its flight this evening. So I'm running helter-skelter to ensure that we get flight. So That's why I'm a little bit edgy and trying to finish up and run to do all other things that I need to do and other things. But despite all the other things, I'm very, very happy, very excited to be here. I know that I wanted to be here because this is a very, very important work that is being done by Step Up. I think that at the MacArthur Foundation, when we started the work around corruption, we were looking at the criminal justice system because we believe that the legal system has to be tightened, but then in the attitude of our people as well. So we see the work that's being done by Step Up, and I think what is very different and unique about the work that Step Up does is the whole idea of catch them young, so that we all know that young people, children, we all learn behaviors. No one is born corrupt. No one learned behaviors. And that's why this work, which means that if we are learning, we can also unlearn bad behavior. And that's why we are very excited, very happy that Step Up came up with this idea. When they came up with the idea, the truth of the matter was that, look, okay, just support them. We have no evidence. We have no, after 2 or 3 years, we were very excited to say, okay, this is a good bet, and we continue to support Step Up for the one that they do. But let me also thank Onyi especially for the faith in what she is doing, for her continuous work on this very important, and I think that she has certainly brought together a team that is working excellently well. A board is not an easy task, especially a board of many, many young people who ask you all kinds of questions about, is that the way to do it, or is that not the way to do the excellent work that they are doing, and for all the things that they are doing for our children and for the generation of our children that they are doing this work. Because this is not a work for themselves, but this is a work for our children. And I think that is the best investment that we can make in the lives of this nation. Many of us, or some of us, have really lived our lives. I think that what we want to create is a better future for our children. And the work that Step Up is doing is part of that contribution towards making this country a better place so that our children will be proud of, and so that our children will continue to have faith in this country that we are building. But I will not end except by also thanking all the teachers and all the schools who are participating in this process. Because when Step Up started, it's not very easy for proprietors and proprietaries of schools to just allow people to come to their school and do this work, or for government officials of suburbs and other institutions owned by government to allow people to come and do things in their school, especially when they are not quite sure what is all this about. So let me also thank, on behalf of the board and Step Up and everyone, all the schools that have been participating in this process, all the educational institutions that are supporting this process, of course also the anti-corruption agencies that have been working with Step Up, because I've met them on a number of occasions.
Thank you so much. I think I'm going to have an icebreaker at some point so that people get excited, but we'll finish up with our goodwill messages first. I would like to welcome next Lydia Ode. She is the chief of party for Palladium, and they have been our partners on the USAID scale funded project called the First Time Voters Initiative. So let's welcome Lydia for her welcome remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Onyi, it's good to see you. You were beginning to take the technology thing too far, having Zoom meetings and all of that. So it's good to see you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I came late. It's not really my practice, but it seemed like I came at the right time. So if there's any protocol that's been set, I crave your indulgence to stand on that protocol. I want to say a big congratulations to Step Up. It's amazing to imagine that it's just 5 years and you have done so much work. You have made such a name for yourself. You have made such impact. when I saw that it was your 5th anniversary, I was like, no, it can't be. The kind of work that you have done, you should be celebrating, we should be talking about 10 years, 15 years. So a big congratulations to you. And it really shows how the vision that you, Onyi, and the board has, and how committed and dedicated that you are. And it also shows that you were able to get a very good team to work on that vision. So congratulations. And the work that we did with Step Up, just like Kole Shetima said, we also took a risk. But it was a risk that we were willing to take because it was under our innovation fund. So if you're testing an innovation, then the risk is that the innovation can work or it may not work. As long as whatever direction it goes, you're documenting learnings. And one of the things that really attracted me to that project, there were 2 things. One of them is that Step Up decided to make people live the repercussion of not making the right decision using the virtual reality technology. I think that was powerful. And incidentally, I was in one of your events where you did a similar thing. And I knew how being in that position or being in that reality really made me to appreciate what was being projected. So I thought it was a powerful technology. The second thing was also the demographic that Step Up was targeting, which is young first-time voters. Mostly young. I know that we have first-time voters that are first-time voters maybe because it hasn't reached their community or they became sensitized, but I think the major demographic that you were targeting were young first-time voters. And naturally, we just imagine when people turn 18, because they become adults, they know everything. We forget that yesterday they were children. And then they enter into their adulthood, we begin to treat them automatically as adults. But they are still really children. Taking time to make sure that these new adults understand the impact of voting, what it means to make that decision, and how to even vote. So it was really exciting for me that you highlighted this demographic that isn't really prioritized when we're doing our civic education or engaging voters to make the right decision. So those were the 2 things that really made the impact for me. And like I said, we took a risk, but it's a risk that has paid off. There's a lot of result, and I think it's one of the things that we'll be showcasing today. But there's a lot of result that's coming out of making people appreciate what the repercussions of their decision. So it's been a pleasure working with you and your team. They are amazing people, and they are representing you very well. When they speak about their project, they speak about it with such passion and such commitment. So congratulations, all of you. And it's been a pleasure working with Step Up. Well done. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. It's been a pleasure working with them as well. I'm sure in our video you'll see how we've been to about 13 communities in 3 months. But we're moving on to the next goodwill remark. And I would like to ask Delia to come on camera. We're calling on Delia Ferreira Rubio. She's the chair for Transparency International. Can we have her spotlighted, please? Thank you. And Delia has been such a great friend and partner of Step Up Nigeria, encouraging our work always. And we're glad that you're able to join us from Argentina this morning. So we'll hand over to you for your remarks. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you, and congratulations. I am really a friend of from Transparency International, and I would like, on behalf of Transparency and in my personal occasion, to say congratulations for the passion and the commitment. A special recognition to Onyi. I came to know Step Up in Nigeria by social media, by Twitter. That's a great, great work that you have done in social media. During these 5 years, Step Up Nigeria has really touched the lives of thousands of people. It's not just the students and their families, the teachers and their families. It's the people around the world that has come to know what you are doing through the books you have published and through the lovely films that you have produced. So thank you very much for that. Dr. Shetima said in his words that Step Up Nigeria is creating or working for a culture of integrity. And he says this is a complementary effort towards and to help the institutional building, the criminal justice, the organizations and laws that are passed in the fight against corruption. I think that it is complementary, but more importantly, it is foundational. It is foundational. We cannot change culture. We cannot change the world. We cannot change behavior. We cannot change or create a world without corruption, a world free of corruption, without working on education and citizen buildingship. And this is exactly what you have been doing during these 5 years. You have been working to have active citizens, citizens that say no to corruption, citizens that are vigilant, citizens that create or help to create a new consensus in society on what is right and what is wrong. And once this consensus is built and strong in society, zero tolerance to corruption is the consequence. No indifference vis-a-vis corrupt actors. Citizens that stop voting for kleptocrats, oligarchs, or corrupt politicians. Citizens that participate very actively in community. Citizens that help to turn integrity into the golden standard in our society. This is exactly what you have been doing, and I hope you will keep on doing for the coming years. This is essential. This is not just an added thing in the fight against corruption. This is the only way in which you in Nigeria and the rest of the world in many, many different countries, this is exactly what we have to do in order to transform the fight against corruption in a sustainable and impactful success. So my only words are of congratulations and thanks to you, Onji, to the team, to have the idea, to dream the dream, and to make it a reality, not only in Nigeria, but around the world.
You can go ahead, ma'am. I think you're muted, please. Okay. Delia, if you could unmute your, okay, please go ahead.
No, I have just said my welcome words and my congratulations to Step Up Nigeria. I hope you have heard me. I have been talking for 10 minutes almost.
Yes. You know, we only missed you at the very last second, but thank you so much. A big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Delia. We appreciate your being here. And something she said, I'm going to quote Delia in this moment. She said, it's not just necessary, it's foundational. We can't be discussing anti-corruption education as something that is an add-on, but something that should be at the forefront of the anti-corruption fight as any other measure. And we'll be discussing that when we're unveiling our report sometime later today. Thank you very much again, Delia. We'll be moving on to the next goodwill remarks from our partners from the British Deputy High Commission in Abuja. Unfortunately, the Deputy High Commissioner, Jill Atkinson, is unable to join us from the UK, but we do have the head of governance in the room, in the person of Magdalene Lagu, to deliver that remarks on her behalf. Thank you, Ma. You're welcome.
Step Up Executive Director, Ononye O. Step Up team, including distinguished board of directors and the brilliant staff team, ladies and gentlemen, and young people. I can see lots of young people in the audience, which is an absolute pleasure to see. So I'd like to introduce myself to start off with. Really sorry that Jill couldn't make it today. She's in the UK at the moment, but I'm here to take her place, humbly take her place. I'm new to Nigeria. I arrived a couple of months ago, and I'm heading up our work on governance and stability. And of course, working on anti-corruption is absolutely critical to that. So thank you so much for having me here today. Fighting corruption begins with what we teach our children. These are the words of Ononye O, Executive Director of Step Up Nigeria. Ononye's words are both visionary and pragmatic because they've been translated into practical action. I understand that over 50,000 plus young people have been educated on anti-corruption using highly creative and innovative tools. I'm in awe of the imaginative way that Step Up addresses these issues through work in schools and fiction for young people. So I started my career working in women's rights organizations. Many of us have worked in some of these organizations with strong women who kind of, groomed us and brought us up, raised us. And one thing we used to do was pull up an empty seat, and that was Amina's seat. In everything we did, there was a seat for Amina. If we were advocating on behalf of somebody, you better make sure that their voice is heard in that room. And it completely shifted the atmosphere and changed how we spoke and held us accountable to Amina because she was in the room. Even that symbolic gesture changed absolutely everything. So I arrived in Nigeria shortly after the national elections, but I look forward to witnessing the off-cycle elections later in the year. Just looking up on Amina to see the work of Step Up, I was absolutely intrigued by Halima's vote. It really reminded me of Amina's seat. So Halima's vote is absolutely critical in teaching young children about the power of voting and the damage caused by corruption in elections. This is important in encouraging a new generation of leaders to be the change that they want to see. I'm heartened that it also shows the vital role that women can play in the fight against corruption. So incredible congratulations for that. And I need to get a hold of a few copies, please. I'd love to share it more. I'm saddened to understand, arriving new and reading about Nigeria, I'm saddened to understand that according to the 2022 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, that Nigeria ranks amongst the most corrupt countries in the world, apparently 150 out of 180. And that in 2019, there was a national survey on corruption, and 30% of citizens reported that they had contact with that when they had contact with public officials, they had to pay a bribe of some sort. So the UK prioritizes Nigeria, including strengthening governance and law enforcement at federal and state levels, tackling corruption, building peace, and strengthening social protection and the inclusion of groups such as women and girls, young people, and persons with disabilities. Nigeria is an absolutely critical partner for the UK. Nigeria, being Africa's largest democracy, is incredibly important because its Pan-African influence means that peaceful, inclusive, and credible elections and governance institutions matters for the whole continent. It matters for Nigeria, but it matters for the whole continent. National and global efforts on anti-corruption can only be effective if accompanied by attitudinal and behavioral shifts that can only be brought about by awareness raising and education on the scourge of corruption and how deep-rooted it is and how it blocks national development. So this work is absolutely fundamental. It's evidence-based. It works. It really does work. Only through education and training can we shape attitudes while fostering the concepts of integrity, personal values to oppose corruption in all its forms. In fact, education and training directly fights the scourge in people's hearts, changing the general attitude that corruption is too big, or it's too deep-rooted to fight. It's not too big, it's not too deep-rooted. It can be fought through changing hearts and minds. Step Up is instilling anti-corruption values in the hearts and minds of future leaders. This is amongst the most effective actions to build a brighter, more just future for all Nigerians and to strengthen the African continent. So I thank you so much for having me here today, and I'm really looking forward to learning more from you and from your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And we're so glad that you were able to make it to join us. Okay, thank you. So of course, we started a bit earlier than our agenda, so we're going to be moving a few things around. But we've taken all our goodwill. I think that was my agenda. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be moving things around, but we're going to play the video that should have come before the goodwill remarks. And we've prepared this should be under 2 minutes video that's going to play first. And it's showcasing some challenges Step Up Nigeria has faced on this journey. And the reason why we thought this was important to do is because it's been an impactful journey, but also a learning journey for us at Step Up Nigeria. And sometimes when we speak to people about how we go to schools and communities, it appears to be a walk in the park, something easy. Is it not just children? Is it not just schools? Is it not just communities? So we thought to show you some fun highlights of experiences our team had to go through to reach some of the out-of-school children that we visited and some of the communities with anti-corruption education. And we hope you enjoy this. Thank you. Oh, it looks like we don't have sound. Okay, we will shortly, we'll skip the video for a few minutes while our team is sorting out the kinks with the sound. And while we're waiting for the video, would like to ask guests who were not able to visit our exhibition out there. So we're going to take a break in the program, and we're going to take about 20 minutes to look through our tools outside during the exhibition, and then we'll come back and start off with our panel discussion and the video. So we'll break now for 20 minutes. Yes. So I'll lead people outside now, and my colleagues are waiting for us. So we'll lead you guys to our tools outside, and we'll start the exhibition while our team sorts out the kinks. So if we're ready, please let's go. And for those that were here earlier, we want you to actually, write on the board, experience virtual reality for a bit, check out the game, play it for a while. So let's visit our stands. Thank you. We'll come back in 20 minutes, which will be 11:45. Thank you. Okay, if my ushers can usher the guests to the exhibition, please. Thank you. introduce, I think there's some new guests in the hall, so I have to introduce again. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And okay, pause it, yeah. So we pride ourselves to be a small team, and as you saw, that's our team. So a round of applause for my team again for all the work that they've done. And now we have another short 4-minute video just documenting our highlights over the last 5 years. Over to you, Halima. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Feromi Iyoda, and I'm the Deputy Director of Programs for Step Up Nigeria. Welcome, and let's take you on this journey. Step Up Nigeria is celebrating 5 years of igniting the youth and promoting integrity across Nigeria. And in this documentary film, we'd like to present to you 5 outcomes achieved in 5 years.
Year 2000, when Step Up Nigeria came to impact the issue about corruption.
Corruption. You have destroyed the solid foundation of this great nation.
Children, we want to grow up in a place where there is peace, where there is power, and where the rule of law is respected. The future of the children and the youth is in the hands of our policy makers. So I want to plead with you to join hands together to make our world a better, safe, and inclusive place. Thank you.
Using innovative storytelling. teachers, and over 500 parents on innovative approaches, methods, and techniques to teach anti-corruption education to young people in the classroom and in the home. Nigeria has also been able to mainstream the teaching of anti-corruption education in over 10,000 schools, working with the Association for Community Educational Development, as well as state universal basic education. We've been able to empower first-time voters with the confidence and the skill sets to demand for better service delivery using their votes as a bargaining tool.
My name is Matthias Benedict from Nasra Igon Local Government Abuja Center. There is a candidate that came to us and we tell him what we are because we don't have light in our community. So he came, we told him that this is what we need. And so he now listened to us. He told us that before they should do the election, he's going to fix a light for us. So we are there, we are thinking maybe he's not going to do it, but by God's grace, on Wednesday, they fixed the light. So now we are enjoying the light and we vote for him. He's the one that wins in our community. So this is what we do. Really help people in our community.
And we hope you enjoyed that video. We had to really struggle to pack, most of our key highlights because we have done a lot in the past 5 years. But it was also quite emotional for me because I joined Step Up Nigeria in 2018 on the day that we started. So I was the very first staff that started with Step Up. And we were only 3, Onyi, myself, and Ibukun. And just watching what we've achieved in 5 years of being here it's emotional, but it's quite inspiring. But I'm really glad for all the work that we've done. And thank you all for partnering on this journey. Okay, so moving on quickly, we'll be moving into a panel discussion that we have. And so I'll ask Lloydette Baimaro. She's our key speaker for the panel discussion who's joining us virtually. Okay, I've seen her. Hello, Lloydette, welcome. She's joining us from the UK. Thank you. So I'll be calling on my panelists one after the other, and once I call upon you, please come forward on the podium. So Lloydette Baimaro is the board chair for Spotlight on Anti-Corruption UK, and she's an anti-corruption expert and an economic crime lawyer, and she's the founding partner of Parametric Global Consulting, an investigations consulting supporting organization that manages and resolves a range of issues, including complex economic crime. She was a senior prosecutor at the Crown Prosecution Service and His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. Lloydette is currently the chair of the board of Spotlight on Corruption, a UK-based anti-corruption charity, which tracks how the UK implements its anti-corruption laws. She's also a member and board of trustees for the Unite Foundation, the charitable arm of Unite Group, a UK public listed company. And she's a visiting lecturer from the International Anti-Corruption Academy in Vienna, Austria. She's a committee member on the investigation committee of the International Institute of Chartered Accountants in England. A round of applause for Lloydette. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome someone who is also a very close friend of Step Up Nigeria, who partnered with us in 2019. And she's a representative from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC, and she's the Anti-Corruption Project Officer in the person of Princess Shifiro. Please welcome Princess. Princess is an international development professional with several years' experience working with the United Nations system and non-governmental organizations towards good governance, youth empowerment, and anti-corruption. She successfully managed over 7 technical assistance projects in the UNODC and was the lead for the UNODC Youth Empowerment Projects, the Global Integrity Education Project covering 3 countries, and the UNODC Education for Justice program that rolled out in 2019. You're very welcome, Princess. Thank you. Next, would like to welcome the representative of the chairman of the ICPC in the person of an ICPC superintendent officer, Ms. Joy Aja. Please welcome her to the podium. Joy Aja is a principal superintendent officer of the ICPC. She's a reporter and the co-anchor of the Commission's weekly television program, Corruption Must Go. And next, very interestingly on our panel, we have two very young people joining me to have the conversation because we thought their voice was very important. As we haven't mentioned, but Step Up Nigeria launched something very new this year called a fellowship program from the communities that we walk through, and we identified fellows that we thought we could train and empower to begin to take actions and lead in their communities. We have two of our fellows in the room from Nasarawa State. We have Patience, and we also have Gabriel Gowon. If you can stand up and just wave to the audience, please. Patience Audu and Gabriel Gowon are two of our fellows. So I'll be calling on Patience Audu to join us on the panel. Patience is a first-time voter integrity champion, and she's one of our Step Up fellows. And she's currently a midwife at the Primary Healthcare Center of Rinze Community. She's passionate about the SDG goals around healthcare and well-being. And she's one of the pioneer fellows for Step Up Nigeria's program. Okay, and I'm inviting finally one of my favorite people in the room. His name is Winner Oyegun, and he's 13 years old. And he's a student at Focus High School in Abuja. And he's one of our junior young anti-corruption champions. From the awards in 2021. He's skilled in technology, writing, and public speaking, as you will see very shortly. He loves challenges, creativity, and innovations. And finally, I'm the moderator for the panel. I'm Fermi Yoda, Step Up Nigeria. So we can have Gaza and my team to please move the podium a bit to the right so we can see my participants. Thank you very much. I'm going to attempt to move my chair to the side so that you can. Oh, it's heavier than I thought. Please. Thank you. Thank you very much. If I can have the usher real one with the other two mics so that we can pass that around for my panelists as they're speaking. Thank you. Okay, welcome Winner, welcome Patience, welcome Joy, and welcome Princess. And thank you for walking with us on this journey. We'll be discussing some questions very quickly, and I do hope that Lloydette can also hear and see us. If we can get the mic so I don't have to pass it around the entire room, but I'll start with that. And our panel discussion this morning is focused on igniting integrity. I'll be discussing with the panelists today the power of the youth and education in building collective action against corruption. So we're discussing the power of the youth and education in building collective action against corruption, which is why we have people working in education, working with youth, and the youth themselves represented. So I'll be starting this panel off with a question to Winner, who is thankfully by my right. And Winner would like to know why you think it's important for children and young people to know about corruption and to fight against corruption. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for that wonderful question. I personally feel that it's a really good question and a really important question that needs to be dealt with. Okay, so why is it important for young children to know about corruption and to fight against it? So I'm going to start by emphasizing on the utmost significance of children and young people on corruption and empowering them to fight against it. The battle against corruption is not one that can be fought by a few individuals alone. Rather, it demands a collective effort of an enlightened and a morally driven society. Imparting knowledge on the younger generation is essential because they represent the future. They are the torchbearers, they are the leaders of tomorrow, they are the vanguards who will carry the values and the principles of integrity, accountability, and transparency forward. They are the ones who have the potential to be the architects of a corruption-free future. So I'm going to share an example. I personally, as a growing child, I have witnessed cases of corruption. I have seen my mates engaging in examination malpractice at my school. There have been cases of unfair practices and discrimination due to So the schools have the need to educate the students on corruption and its disastrous effects, explaining to them that there is an utmost important need to uphold integrity in education, ignited a spark in us to question wrongdoings and created a sense of responsibility to seek solutions to corruption. This example illustrates that the power of informed and impartial youth is a formidable force in the fight against corruption. Knowledge is the key to empowering our youth to battle and to combat corruption. And by fostering an understanding of corruption, we are sowing the seeds of a more just and transparent society. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your 5th anniversary.
Thank you very much. When I mentioned his hobby is public speaking, so I think we've seen a bit of that now. But thank you, Wina. He was a head boy. He's currently in secondary school now, but we met Wina. He was the head boy of his primary school, and he used to give speeches on the assembly on why the students should act with integrity, and why they need to shun corruption, even at their level in terms of bribery and examination malpractice. And truly, he's a champion for Step Up Nigeria. Thank you for this comment, Wina. I'll be moving next to Patience, and I am starting with the young people this morning. Can you tell us, Patience, about your journey in the fight against corruption in your community through the fellowship program, and maybe just share a proud moment of victory with us? Thank you.
Thank you for having me today. Thank you for actually I embarked on this journey when Step Up Nigerian came to my community. When they first visited my community on the first time voters integrity initiative. So after they came, they played a video, Halima's vote. After I saw what Halima did, how she courageously stood and confidently told the governor she was not going to accept the money, she asked for better service delivery. I had a burning passion in me to start this journey, and currently we have engaged my community in anti-corruption talk. I visited the Market Women's Forum, the Farmers Forum, the youth groups and village heads, and we've talked to them about how we can fight corruption. And I can proudly say that during the last election, women, local women in my community and youth came out massively to fight against vote selling. And one of my proudest moments, I would say, was when a friend of mine actually was willing to give a bribe to a government personnel to secure a position. So after telling me about it, and through my knowledge of what corruption is and how it has been eating up our community, I told him, I engaged him in corruption talked, and he actually became an advocate, a strong advocate against corruption, and that's one of my proudest moments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Apologies. Thank you very much, Patience, for that. I would like to ask a follow-up question. So you're a Step Up Fellow, one of the Pioneer 12 Fellows for Step Up. So can you tell us a bit of how, the program, fellowship program has motivated you and your motivations to act against corruption? Thank you.
Thank you. So during my fellowship with the Step Up Nigerian, we had a virtual reality section, the Abike story. So after the Abike story, I've got to realize how important service delivery to my community and the country at large. So I got motivated by it. And as a midwife personally, I've seen things happening. I had a story back then of a woman who came for delivery. After her delivery, she had retained placenta. So due to the retained placenta, she had postpartum hemorrhage. I did all I could as a midwife in my own level, but I couldn't save her. So the bleeding continued, so I had to refer her to a secondary healthcare facility, which is, by the way, not close to my community. So before getting to the secondary healthcare facility, this woman lost her life. And I think those and many stories have motivated me to begin this fight against corruption in my own community, to demand for better service delivery. And during my fellowship with the Step Up Nigerian, I've had intensive training sections on leadership, which has really helped me to lead successful community engagement in my community. And I would say we have been taught on how to actively engage government stakeholders to demand for better service delivery during my training. And I had where I followed Step Up staffs to schools, and Actually, I learned a lot during my engagement with them, how they engage school children on anti-corruption activities. Really broadened my knowledge on anti-corruption, and it has really inspired me to work for better service delivery in my own community. And we have some future plans. Actually, we were planning on bringing local politicians and stakeholders to help in building better service delivery in my community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Patience. We appreciate you. We're glad that our fellowship program has been useful to you and has been so inspiring for the work that you do. So thank you again. We're moving quickly to Princess, who has worked on education for justice programs for almost 10 years now. And we want to ask Princess, how can we better harness the power and potential of youth in driving collective action against corruption? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I don't know if it works now. Thank you. Let me start by saying this is also an emotional day for me because I remember when Oyi came and we had this discussion. She was so worried about the future, and I said you were going to be great. And I'm so proud, to see the progress. So congratulations, Oyi and Step Up team. Ferami is playing it cool. She's also one of the youths that has gone places when she started. So she's a very good example on, how youth could really be, the potentials of youth could really be used to fight against corruption. Now I have about 5-6 points I just want to highlight. The first three is really preamble, but I thought I'd bring out the points. I think it's becoming obvious that youths do want to have a say in the development of their countries. UNODC and NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, did a survey, corruption survey. We've had 2 and we're doing a 3rd, but in the 2019 report itself, one of the results we found was the attitudes of youth towards the fight against corruption. Youth are saying this is unacceptable and we want to do something about it. And I thought that's a very important point. And we're seeing this, demonstrated in how they're calling for more justice on different platforms. And that is so good to see because I think we've moved from youths who were, probably in my days, were quite docile, to youths who are calling for action. And, that's really, really motivating to see. Secondly, we've heard it severally, winner being a winner, true winner, has said it all, that in order to fight corruption, we do need the collaboration of many actors and stakeholders. So not just youth, we have, women, children, everybody really needs to be part of this to be able to achieve the result we want to see. And we have different policies and laws that try to encourage youth, but we still have a long way to go. So how do we begin to harness the youth potentials that are emerging? One of the things that I would say is a good way is co-leading and co-creating with youths. And we're seeing that with what Step Up Nigeria is doing already. What this will ensure is that we have meaningful participation of youths, empowerment, and then that leads to creating citizens and youths with real high integrity and we'll feel proud of. That's the one. Another way is collaboration. Again, youth collaboration cannot be overemphasized. We need to hear their perspective and take in what they have to say.
Hello?
It's back. Okay, cool. All right, so collaborations, I was saying. The need to listen to youth perspective and take it on board when we're developing policies and our laws, and in general, just making plans regarding the development of our society. I will give an example, and she's here herself. Farami participated in the United Nations General Assembly special session on anti-corruption in 2021. That was one way where we wanted to hear the youths speak. And from that forum, UNODC, where I work, has developed, a framework that ensures that we're listening to youth. Typically, just to digress a little, UNODC is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Predominantly, our main actors are the Ministry of Justice, ICPC, EFCC, law enforcement, and we recognize that there was a gap, in how we were approaching the fight against corruption. So, listening to youth and bringing in their perspective can really help in how we shape, our policies and law, and that's just an example. Another point I wanted to say is the need to continue to encourage youth to connect with one another, learn from one another. Thankfully, there's the social media where their voices continue to be very strong, even if they can't go out in the street as much as they want to. But being able to allow them to learn from one another and become more active in their environment and community is, something that really could be encouraged. And two more points, and I'll hand over to you. I see that's running. The fifth point is the investment in youth leadership, and I think we've mentioned that, and we're seeing that in the work Step Up is doing. So kudos, Step Up. Investing in youth leadership will help us build better citizens, as I've already said. But they will also be able to champion advocacy on our policy and legal reforms, which we want to see. Again, I cannot I'm repeating myself by saying that their perspective and, continuous participation is essential to social development in the long term. Finally, this is a repetition, but it's probably the most important: education and training. We cannot, in fact, it's the only way we can, continue to fight against corruption. It's the foundation of it all. And thank you again to Step Up Nigeria. And some of the work we're doing in UNODC revolves around this as well, through our Education for Justice initiative, which is now called the Global Resource for Anti-Corruption and Youth Empowerment. We've kind of broadened it to ensure that we're doing a lot of youth empowerment-related forums. Using different international forums or even national forums, collaborating with the national partners, ICPC. I note ICPC because when we started Education for Justice, ICPC was also very active. So these are some of the ways. The list goes on, but I thought these few points could really be ways we get started. So thanks to everyone who's been part of this journey. It's also an emotional day for me.
Thank you very much, Princess. We're looking over some old pictures where we started, and like Princess said, she's been a long-time friend of Step Up Nigeria, so thank you once again. I'm standing so I can easily move the mic around. So I'm moving to the ICPC in the person of Joy for her comments, and we want to hear from your perspective on how education equips young people to ignite integrity and stand against corruption. What changes do you think that we need to implement in our educational system to enhance this role? And, what ways can we build collective resistance to corruption? Thank you.
Thank you, Farami. To begin, education is enlightenment. And education gives the youth the exposure to how things are, how they ought to be, and how we can achieve that. Now, education, with the right education, the youth will be exposed to knowing how corruption, if not tackled, can change the trajectory of their lives. It doesn't matter what their dreams are. If corruption is not dealt with, those dreams may not be achieved. And over and above that, education helps the youth to get involved. Because when we talk about corruption, it's easy for the young ones to think that it's all about the people in the government and people in the big offices. But with education, the youth understand that corruption and other vices like examination malpractices, cultism, bullying all go hand in hand, and the role that they can play, the tools, using their strength, their number within the ambit of the law to tackle corruption. Now, coming to the changes that we expect to see. Over the years, from the beginning, ICPC sees the youth as very major stakeholders in our work. And armed with our law, Section 6, E to F, that gives us the power to educate people on and against corruption and to enlist their support. In 2004, as far back as 2004, ICPC came up with a national values curriculum, which was geared towards a long-term plan to infuse integrity in the lives of the children, to catch them young. That has been on, and it's already running since 2007. But there is need for a review. That's one of the changes that we wish to see. More training. Kudos to Step Up Nigeria. I see you're doing a lot, and that's why we work with Step Up, because their work is at the heart of our own work too. It aligns with our vision. So more training for the teachers to be sure that the right message is being cascaded down to the students. Another thing is, most of our enlightenment campaigns is geared towards behavioral change. It is the change that we want. It is not the talk alone. Now, it's easy for us to go to schools and talk to the children, but we know that education actually begins from the home. And that's why ICPC has the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. Now, this policy captures the parents. If everyone is on the same page, we are sure that when we have taught these children the things they need to know, how they can engage, when they get home, the parents can continue from there. So it starts from the home to the school and back to the home, and then the message is the same. Integrity, a corruption-free nation. Another thing we want to see, one of the other changes that we want to see, is the adoption of anti-sexual harassment policy in schools. Sexual harassment is a crime against humanity, and it is a crime under the ICPC Act, Section 19, Abuse of Office. Now, we have had a lot of reports. We have prosecuted, we have secured conviction. But we also want schools to domesticate the anti-sexual harassment policy. We worked with Gender Mobile Initiative on this project. We have the drafts, we have the policy, and where we are now is at the stage where we are distributing these policies to schools. So we want schools to adopt them, because one major thing that the policy deals with is confidentiality. Victims need to know that their reports will be treated in confidence, so they can come up and that they can actually get justice. We have secured convictions, so justice can be served to perpetrators. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'll come back to you after our next panelist speaks. So Lloydette, do we have you on with us?
I think you do. Hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I believe you're muted, Lloydette. You would have to unmute yourself.
I am unmuted.
Okay.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can. All right, Lloydette.
Ah, wonderful.
Welcome. Glad to see you, hear you, and have you at our panel discussion this morning. I'll be moving to a question for you geared towards collective action. And we want to ask, collective action, of course, is critical in combating corruption. You know, we all say united against corruption. So how can we motivate communities, especially young people, to participate in such collective action? And what support structures or incentives might encourage greater youth involvement in the fight against corruption? Thank you.
That's a fully loaded two-part question, and I'm hopefully going to be able to unpack it in a few minutes. But before I get started, I want to say a huge congratulations to the entire Step Up team for getting to 5 years. I know what it's like to build from the ground up. And I think that the work that you are doing is absolutely phenomenal and is really changing the game. Very much like Delia, I discovered Step Up on Twitter and immediately got in touch with Onyia and just thought, I need to know who this amazing woman is who is building this phenomenal organization. So it's such a pleasure to be part of your journey in a very, very, very tiny little way at this point. So let me get to the first part of that question about how do we motivate communities, especially young people, to participate in collective action. I think the other panelists have already covered a lot of what I wanted to say in quite a lot of detail already, but I hope I'll be able to add something else to that. I think the first part to think about is the mindset. The lady from, I think, Madam Joy from the IPC, forgive me if I get the name wrong of your organization. ICPC, thank you. And she talked about this realization of realizing that corruption isn't just about the people who are in the big offices and the politicians, but it's also about the micro corruption, the things that happen in our schools and in our community. And that takes me to the point about it's not a them problem, but it's an us problem. And so it's about that mindset of looking at the issue and therefore our need to get involved as communities and for our young people to get involved as this is our problem. It's not just them over there that are the bad people. We all have to get involved and we all have to find a way to solve these issues. And, you know, there's an acronym that I use a lot, even with my own children. I'm a mother of 3 small children. And I talk about this acronym, which is TEAM. And I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, which is together each achieves more. So I think it's that mindset of, okay, how can we come together as communities? How can we ensure that the issues that we face, because none of us are going to be under any illusions about the scale of the issues that we face. The challenges are incredibly complex, but also there is a real hunger and desire for change. So within that structure of working as a team, how do we come together and ensure that we can be the change that we really want to see? So I think it's that importance of helping communities to see the need for their own participation and their active participation. My colleagues on the panel have already talked about how engaging young people is crucial for the success of any anti-corruption initiative. And I can only just continue to just add to that and buttress those comments. But I think in terms of the motivation, we have to look at looking at it from the point of the grassroots. What do we need to do now? What small steps can we individually take that contribute towards the bigger vision that we want to see within our communities and then within our wider society? If I go on to talk about what are the support structures and incentives that we can consider when thinking about how to encourage youth involvement. Now, Step Up is doing amazingly in this area, and as those individuals who gave the comment, the goodwill messages at the beginning have already alluded to, you are really leading and a game changers when it comes to some of the work that you are doing. And I thoroughly love the work that you're doing in relation to storytelling. I'm of the view that you need to, one of the things that we need to think about when we're thinking about incentives is not just storytelling, but how do we stimulate critical thinking in our youth? How do we encourage them and nurture a speak-up culture from a very young age? In my professional capacity, I talk to senior leaders in organizations all the time about the need to encourage a speak-up culture, for them to demonstrate that when people speak up, that they are going to be supported and they're going to be protected rather than ostracized or excluded or even possibly harmed in some way. So how can we encourage our children to really learn how to speak up when they see wrongdoing from a very young age? That speak up culture isn't just for corporates and for executives, but actually we should be able to encourage that in our schools and in our communities. And then I think the other part of it is how do we, thinking about how we can build a picture of what life might look like with less corruption. And that's where your VR program, I think, is amazing. What will our lives look like? What will our communities look like with less corruption? And how will that, living in a community that is less corrupt, have a direct impact on our lives? Sometimes I think we can be so bogged down, like I said, in the enormity of this and the scale of the problem, that it's difficult to see beyond it. So I think one of the things we need to do is to try and create an environment where our children, our young people can see beyond today and see beyond what it looks like now. I think the third thing is that we, another panelist also alluded to this, we need to bring them to the table to help find solutions. Step Up is already doing a lot of this, but in terms of, you know, I was reading a World Bank blog from a young writer who talked about things like transparency cafes and, you know, anti-corruption hackathons or corruption hackathons, using platforms for creativity, bringing young people to the table to help them brainstorm and for them to be the people that find solutions. And then my final point in this will be in relation to how do we take young people and encourage them to lead from the front. It's, I think, moving on, focusing on youth-led rather than adult-led structures. That, I think, in my view, brings such vibrancy and such energy, but it does require those of us who are adults to relinquish some of that control. And I think that's important for empowering young people, for leadership and also for raising awareness.
Thank you very much, Loides. Thank you for your comments. And I think to wrap up the panel discussion, and maybe I'll just give this to Princess and maybe Winner as we wrap up. So there's a momentum that's been created. ICPC, UNODC, Step Up Nigeria, young people around the world, around integrity issues by both youth, around education as well. And we've discussed enough today around how that has transformed into long-term change. So how do we maintain and also build upon this progress with the youth and collective action against corruption? So do you want to speak first, Winner? Okay. So how do we build collective action? How do we sustain, the momentum in this movement? Yes.
Thank you, Feromi. ICPC and Step Up can do a lot of work, but if we don't all get involved, there'll be no hope for us. How to maintain and build upon what we have while hoping for the future, for a better future, is to all get involved. We need to have a people. We're trying to build a people who are not poor in their minds. I mean, people who don't think through their pockets or their stomach. Because it is only when we begin to look at the bigger picture that we put self aside and get involved, knowing that, okay, this thing I'm doing is for the good of all. Not only myself, my pocket, and my stomach. All hands have to be on deck. Step Up is doing a lot. As a matter of fact, I don't even believe it's just 5 years. They've done so much as if they've been here for like 15 years or so. So we give it to them. ICPC on their part and other anti-corruption agencies, they are also doing their bit. But we all need to get involved. We shouldn't leave this for anybody to handle. It is for me and you to do. Let us build on what we have. Let us make it our personal responsibility to contribute in anywhere we find ourselves in our own little way. Say, I won't do this. At least little drops of water, they say, make a mighty ocean. By the time we all continue to do this consciously, live better, do better, then we'll definitely have a better society. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think she said most of the things I want to say, so I'm just going to add one thing. Human beings are very dynamic, so things can get very monotonous. We get bored with ways of doing things. And one of the discussion we keep in the anti-corruption is how do we make anti-corruption sexy? Anyway, how do we make the fights against corruption even more interesting? Even if for it to even appeal to youth, we need to begin to think creatively. And that's why the engagement of youth and maintaining or harnessing their potentials is very essential. And in order to maintain it, we need to kind of continue to engage their minds, because we can't limit it to what we just know. And so things like what we do, coding for integrity, some of this virtual reality, and so many other, harnessing technology to help bring that creative aspect to what we do, it's also very important. In addition to what she said, I totally agree. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Princess. right, so we'll be wrapping up our panel discussion. So can we have a big round of applause for our panelists? Thank you very much, Princess. Thank you, Joy. Thank you, Patience. Thank you, Ina. Please, you may take your seats. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to all our stakeholders. I know at some point people are itching to give us feedback and comments. Just to mention that we're launching a report on anti-corruption education, and we'll be taking some of your feedback at that stage in the event. So we're moving on to something quite exciting. Step Up Nigeria, apart from movies, actually has 6 songs. So if any of the song platforms that you use, iTunes, Spotify, you can search Step Up Nigeria, and our songs will come up. One of those songs is called We Must Do Better. It's the soundtrack for Emeka's Money film. And just to inspire us and entertain us as we're having our tea break, we have an Abuja renowned choral.
Bribery, budget padding, friends and family contract. Exploiting public office for personal gains, looting the wealth of the people.
Yes, we must do better.
We must do better now. We must do better now.
Yes, we must do better to restore our national pride. A nation of integrity is what I see. A future with fairness and equity. But the change I desire begins with me. Yeah, we must do better.
We must do better.
We must do better.
We must do better.
Goodbye to bad roads. Goodbye to bad school. Goodbye to all contracts given to families and friends. But
Change our desire begins with me. We have everything we will ever need.
To be the giants we say we are.
We have everything we will ever need.
Mineral resources and manpower until we learn to see beyond our coffers and pockets. We'll remain consumed by greed. By greed.
A vicious cycle of corruption,
wastage, mismanagement, and plenty mago.
And every shape of repulsion for personal gain, looting the wealth of the people.
Scheming and plotting all sorts of political games with the future of our children is evil. We must do better.
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 To restore our national pride.
Goodbye to bad roads, goodbye to bad schools, goodbye to all contrasts given.
Change our desire, begin with me. Whoa, we must do better.
We must do
Ooh, we must do better. Ooh, we must do better.
Must do better.
To restore our national pride.
It's a dream in my heart, and I do believe
A nation where a nation is corruption free.
But the change I desire
begins with me. Begins with me. Begins with you. Begins with us. Must begins with me.
Thank you very much, Amemuso, for that wonderful performance of We Must Do Better. So while we move on quickly, we have a poetry performance by a young girl from Baptist Nursery and Primary School, Abuja. Her name is Esther Akinleye, and Esther is also one of our young anti-corruption champions from our Anti-Corruption Star Awards last year in 2022. So we'd like to welcome Esther Akinleye in the room for her poetry performance on why we should act with integrity. Please, let's give Esther a warm welcome. Today is also Esther's graduation from primary 6, but she said she must be here to deliver her poem. So she left her graduation just to be here as well. Welcome, Esther. Thank you.
Good morning, audience. My name is Akinleye Esther from Baptist Nursery and Primary School. I am here to present a poem titled The Journey to the Incorruptible Land. The journey to the incorruptible land is indeed not haphazard. It's entangled with catastrophe. It's a journey through a ladder which needs no haste. The journey to the incorruptible land is for men of iron, like the anti-corruption agents, who with bravery fight the immoral and dishonest men, as the antibiotics fight the dreaded infection, ravaging it beyond repair. The journey to the incorruptible land is an indispensable journey for the salvation of our ailing land, a land endowed with untold resources, natural and human, because of men with moral perversion and impairment of virtue, throwing overboard the seasoned virtue left for us by our untainted foreleaders. The journey to the incorruptible land is for the unblemished and incorruptible men who, like the upright Jesus, never compromise integrity on the altar of bribery. The journey to the incorruptible land is not only for the EFCC, ICPC, or Step Up Nigeria. It is also for those who give and receive bribe, even for those who use public offices to defecate public monies to own accounts. Dear SARS and MARS, the journey to integrity begins with you and I. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther, and you look lovely, and congratulations again. That was a wonderful poem. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you. We hope you're enjoying our event as it's progressing. We're moving towards the report launch, which is the main event. And as we move quickly, as we introduced earlier, Step Up Nigeria has an integrity certification program. And I'll give you a bit of an introduction to the program before I certify the schools. So our program involves certifying schools who have built a culture of integrity in Nigeria. And the idea behind that is encouraging schools and building their capacity to instill integrity measures in their schools, which include things like admissions integrity, academic integrity in how examinations are conducted. We also work with schools to improve their codes of conduct for teachers, for parents, as well as their students, building integrity pledges, putting systems like conflicts of interest registers, regulating staff behavior, and ensuring that anti-corruption education is being taught in the schools. Now, we have 3 of such schools in the room who have gone through our certification process. They've gone through the clinic, they've gone through the trainings, and now they are fully integrity certified. This is to say that their schools have put in enough integrity measures to ensure that there's no malpractice during examinations, that processes are open and transparent, and that the students who pass through their school learn anti-corruption every day. And so I would like to invite our board chair in the person of Ms. Maureen Idiozu, who would be handing over the certificates to the schools who will be receiving them. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I'd like to quickly welcome the representative from the Gold Model School. If all the schools will come out at once, please. The representative from Baptist Nursery and Primary School, and the representative from New Beacon International School, Abuja. If we can have all 3 of them come up to receive their certificates. Thank you. New Beacon International School, Baptist Nursery and Primary School, and the Gold Model School. Thank you. Please let's give them a round of applause. They're all coming forward. Thank you. Okay, so we have coming from the right, Mrs. Adeni Care, who has been an anti-corruption champion, who established an anti-corruption club at Baptist Nursery and Primary School in Abuja. Congratulations, ma, and well done. Thank you. Thank you very much. We also have the representative from New Beacon International School, which is where we met Winner. Thank you very much, ma, for being here. Thank you, and congratulations to your school, Miss Peace. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I don't see the representative from the Gold Model, so we'll carry on. Thank you very much, Ms. Maureen, for delivering the certificates. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I hope we've all had our tea, because we're approaching the main event for the day. And before I call on my program director, who will be carrying on the next segment, I'd like to say a big welcome. We do have stakeholders who joined us from Lagos and from Nasarawa State. We have representatives from the Nasarawa State SUBEB, from the Lagos State Curriculum Services Department, the Ministry of Education, from the FCT ERC, from the FCT UBEB. We have representatives also joining us online from the IMSUBEB. We thank all our guests and representatives who came in the room from the education sector. We believe that the report that we've produced will be insightful towards reviewing programming in education in Nigeria. And thank you to all our other guests who made out time to be here, our children and our students. So I'll be calling on my program director, who is Samuel Asimi, and we'll be going into, please give me 1 second. All right, apologies for that interruption. So I've been informed I can take some feedback from the audience on the conversation we're having around igniting youth as catalysts for anti-corruption education in Nigeria. So if you had any thoughts as per the discussion that our panelists had, and you would like to give your 1 or 2 cents to the conversation, we would like to take feedback from the audience on the panel discussion. Okay, I've seen one hand. One more person. One more person. Okay, we have 2 hands. Honorable Oji, I haven't seen your hand, but I think I might give you the mic. We have 3 men for the women in the hall. I won't close this till at least one woman speaks. So can we have one more woman? Mrs. Fashuba? Okay. Anybody else? Mrs. Essay? Okay, I'll start with the men and I'll wait to give the final woman in the room to speak. Please, sir, you can introduce yourself and give your quick comments. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Dr. Garbat Ahiru Gandru. I'm the Director, Curriculum Development Center of the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NERDC. It has been quite an interesting moment. On behalf of my Chief Executive, Professor Ismail Junaidu, and the management of NERDC, we want to appreciate Step Up for stepping up to this level, and also to appreciate ICPC who have been, partnering with us on the issue of curriculum and, the teaching of, anti-corruption, issues in the curriculum. Let me appreciate the panelists for coming up with very important, issue, especially as it relates to education, because education is key when it comes to really the issue of, fight against corruption. The instrumentality of the curriculum, it is very key because that is the channel, that is the avenue through which you can get the learners to acquire the best practices and in terms of values, in terms of norms, especially as it relates to issue of, fight against corruption. I would want to say that the curriculum really has contained this, and we are trying to scale up also because curriculum is very dynamic. As the society is changing, so also the curriculum changes. And as the curriculum changes, it also influences the society for it to have an effective change. So we are indeed happy with what is happening, especially where when we come to issue of curriculum, we are talking of, knowledge, skill, competencies, attitudes, soft skills, core skills, and all that it takes to change behavior. And I think we are good to go. But I would want to appeal that when we do this, I'm happy I've heard about the issue of the resources that have been developed. These are very instrumental and very key to acquisition of knowledge, especially the practice of pedagogy as it relates to these resources. But I think we should also rally around to support all this course from the National Assembly, from National Orientation Agency, from ICPG, and all that it takes. Thank you for what is happening, and kudos again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for those comments and for being here. I'm happy that we're generally on the same page on the need for anti-corruption education. Honorable Oji, please.
Thank you very much. Yes, let me thank everyone for the opportunity to have this microphone. Let me once again congratulate SON, that is Step Up Nigeria, for the 5th anniversary. It's just like yesterday. And again, this very meeting has afforded me the opportunity to see Onyi. As a human being, I was thinking she's actually a human being. Onyi, congratulations to the team with the good work you're doing. Let me say, probably one of the ways forward is looking at ICPC as an institution, actually drafting in people who have made Mark like Oyegun into as honorary staff. So who could come during the holidays, see what you're actually doing. Because while he's doing what he's doing in the school, what you're doing in a way could encourage him to understand if, supposing I find myself in this position tomorrow, how should I do it or how can I do it better? And so on the whole, Step Up Nigeria, congratulations. I know some of the things we are discussing here is about 5 years work. We've just been shown a clip of people going through the swamp. It's more than that swamp you've seen. But I want to say it's been years of hard work. Congratulations for a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for this very opportunity. I want to use this medium to appreciate State of Nigeria. It's really an amazing one. My name is Ali Abdullah Kure. I came all the way from Niger State. In my community, I do most of these things to ensure that I bring my community to the spotlight. Now, coming here, it's more of an inspiration, because most of the things I've seen here are most of the things that I'm doing. And then over the time, we have been trying to fight lack of proper education and sexual harassment back there in my community. So I want to request that Step Up Nigeria should kindly extend this so that we can join forces to work and ensure we have smooth education and to ensure we fight most of the injustice and corruption that is taking place in my community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Are you a Step Up member? Okay. Because we do have a membership meeting. We have one lady with her hand up. We have 3 ladies. I won't be able to take all of you at this time, but her hand raised up first, so I'll come to her. And then after our report, I'll take the rest of the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mrs. Obinatu from UBEC, Abuja. Step Up have really done a very great job. And from what we saw, they have trained more than 50 teachers on corruption. More than 800 teachers. That's a plus. And they also work with the Makata Foundation, I guess. And that's a very good one. And there's something I observed here which I'm not happy with. When you presented the certificate to schools, these schools are private schools. What of the public schools? They've not be carried along. Please do that.
So yes, public schools are not left behind. We have reps from NSUBEB, FCT. Okay, thank you very much. So very quickly, I'm going to Halima, are we ready for the presentation? Okay, so I'm going to move to the next item on the agenda. Very quickly, and it's a short thing. If I can ask my colleague Godfrey Itatu to come forward. If you visited our stand outside, you would see that we are launching a new board game. So if I can have Godfrey Itatu and the rest of the board game team coming into the hall. Today was the day where we are launching a new board game called Do It Right. And of course, as you've seen with our variety of tools outside, Step Up Nigeria's tools are creative, and we're thinking of new ways to educate children. So I'll be inviting my program director in the person of Mr. Samuel Asimi, who will be taking us on the next item on the agenda, presenting our report findings on our report on anti-corruption education in Nigeria, a complementary or alternative tool to enforcement in Nigeria. So thank you very much. Over to you, Samuel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Feromi. They didn't clap for me very well, so thank you very much for that. We thank you all for spending much time from your busy schedule with us. We sincerely appreciate that, and we don't take it for granted. But we're here at this is the highlights of the event, where we're actually launching our report, which is titled Anti-Corruption Education in Nigeria, a complementary or alternative tool to enforcement. We are all aware of how the approaches we have to tackling corruption. We have the sanctions approach, which involves law enforcement officials, like we usually know, and that has been used very well since the Fourth Republic, where you have the Economic and Financial Crimes, ICPC, and other law enforcement agents working to arrest perpetrators of different crimes. We also have an emerging approach, which is what we use very well at Step Up Nigeria, which is the preventive approach, which is anti-corruption education. And this is something we do very well. We've been doing it very well for the last 5 years. And the report we are launching would show you empirical evidence to support the results we've actually gotten. Just to say, we are not saying anti-corruption education is the sole way to go. We are actually for, and when you read the report, for a hybrid approach, which is, of course, a combination of both the anti-corruption education and also the sanctions approach, which is also very important. I'll be calling on special personality to do the honors for us to help us unveil that, the report. And after that as well, we'd also invite a couple of dignitaries in the house with us to just stay behind the report and take a picture with our reports held up high. We would appreciate if you look at the report, review it. If you have comments, clarifications, feedback, you can actually share that with us. So to unveil the report, I would call on no other person but our able chair of the Step Up board. So please, would you, I wouldn't say put your hands together, so I'll say would you jam your hands together for Mrs. Maureen Edozie as she comes up to give us that. Thank you.
Okay, Sam, I was just saying thank you everyone for clapping, but it's getting a bit lonely for me out here. So, Sam, I'd like to invite some people to come on and join me.
So, standing on the permission of the chair of the board, I would invite, yes, the executive director of Step Up, the founder of Step Up, my boss. She needs no introduction, so please put your hands together for her. So I would also call on Barrister Lillian Ekeyao. She's a veteran in the anti-corruption space. You know, back then in student union government, if you're introducing yourself, you say one time this and one time that. So I'll use that for her. Yeah, and I think the latest or the last one time this that she was the head of the Technical Unit for Governance and Anti-Corruption Reform, TUGA. So please put your hands together for her. I mean, we are very, very gender inclusive at Step Up. And the next person I'll call will be a testament to that. That would be the Director Curriculum of the NARDC. So please, Dr. Garba, can you please join us? Please put your hands together for him. We would also call on the representative of the French embassy, that's the Corporation Attaché, Katie Regis. Please put your hands together for her. We also have representative from SUBEB. Please, can you join us, please? The representative of SUBEB. Please. Sorry. Please put your hands together for her, please. Would call on a friend of the house, Mr. Olaleye from Lagos, to please join us. Of course, would call on our friends, the last persons. They are very, very good friends in-house. So I'm calling the organization because they always turn up in numbers when we call them. So they don't just come alone. Sometimes they come two of them, or sometimes even three of them. The representative of the ICPC should please join us. Please jam your hands together for them. Please clap for her very well. You didn't clap very well. Maybe that's why she's not out. So I would hand over the mic back. I think my authority to hold it is over. So I'll hand it back to the chair of the board to take it over from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. You can see I have good company now. It's no longer lonely here. So, to the glory of God and to the greatness of our nation, I hereby unveil and launch the report. Please, let's have it one copy each. So what we have here, we have top stories of change, celebrating 5 years, empowering youth, igniting change, and inspiring integrity. We also have the report, which is the Anti-Corruption Education in Nigeria, a complementary tool or an alternative to enforcement. I think you read it and find out the answer. You'll be in the best position to say, but we're again celebrating 5 years of empowering youths, igniting change and inspiring integrity. It's a picture for, you can see the front cover, cheerful children. That means the message is interesting and they can relate to it. So kudos to Step Up Nigeria. Congratulations and thank you, everyone.
So before the high level launchers leave, can we please have the representative from the FCT Education Secretariat to please join them as well? Please put your hands together for her, please. They are our amazing stakeholders. And also, we work in FCT, Lagos, and Nasarawa. So I understand it's not complete if I also don't invite the Ministry of Education from Nasarawa. So please, the representatives, put your hands together for him, please. Yeah, so please just take it up, but don't cover your face with it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just to say that the reports would be, we have a couple of the reports printed, but we also, so at Step Up, we're a friend of the environment, so we actually advocate as much as possible for soft copies. So if you've registered with us and we have your contact, and your email with us, we'd actually share the soft copies with you via your email. So we have limited copies here. But we'll definitely share the copies with you via email. As part of the Sustainable Development Goals, it's important to be a friend of the environment, and we actually practice that. So I'd hand over now to my colleague, Feromi, to please take us from here. Thank you. Please put your hands together for Feromi.
All right, so we want to start a new practice here from our song that we wrote. So I'm going to ask the crowd, Gaza, if you could come forward, please. I'm going to ask the crowd to chant, "We must do better, we must do better, we must do better." Because that is the encouragement from the song, that we must do better to build our nation and to make Nigeria better. All right, so we'll be moving towards, as you can see, we're nearing the end of our event for today, and we thank you for sticking with us. We'll be unveiling our future plans at Step Up Nigeria. So we've done 5 years, and we have, the next 5 years forward looking. And we do have some exciting plans that we'd like to share with all our stakeholders in the room this morning. And so I'll be inviting our founder, Mrs. Onyinye O, to unveil the future plans for Step Up Nigeria and her remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ferami, and thank you, everyone, for coming here today. We felt that as we're about to end the event, it's good for you to see what we plan for the next 5 years, God willing. So the next 5 years, next slide, we hope to, I have to come out because I can't slide. We want to create a corruption-free classroom using artificial intelligence. So basically what we've been doing over the last 5 years, we want to now use, the current technology to reach as more people as we can. So we're going to be mainstreaming anti-corruption education with artificial intelligence. So we'll provide tailored learning experience, educating more people on corruption's harm and how to combat it. So people would have their own personalized experience using AI. So I don't want to say too much, but just to give you a flavor of what we're thinking. And then the next one is around social sanctions. One of the things that we've been trying to do is to build social sanctions against corruption. And social sanctions is when we get communities to actually reject corrupt behavior through their actions rather than relying on the legal system. So for example, boycotting people that we know are corrupt, not engaging their businesses, shaming and naming them in our communities, that sort of thing. So we want to enhance that social sanction approach using our Innovating Integrity initiative, where we hope to transform the application of social sanctions against corruption, using, again, technology, but this time around, active community participation from those at the grassroots, working with them to lead the corruption fight. Our goal is to foster a culture of integrity where corruption is seen as socially unacceptable. I think it's very important that once society, the whole of society rejects corruption, I think we would move forward. And then something I'm also excited about, we've started doing this, but want to take it now, make it more organized and formal. We want to have an Integrity Education Champions League. So that's the next thing we are working towards, where we aim to assemble a team of anti-corruption education professionals through our Integrity Educators Champions League. This will have individuals, organizations, and we hope, and what we want to do, while we are making it a league, is that we want to, because we've seen that our work and approaches work, but we want to pass. We can't do everything. Step Up can't be everywhere. So we are just a small team. So we want to begin to build that Champions League among people interested in integrity education, and where we would have a toolkit, and and we can have this group of people doing what we are doing in their own respective communities. And watch this space. Thank you. And then to round up, I feel like I need to. Is one thing, everybody from the beginning, Dr. Shetima, Delia, everybody has been saying thanks to Onyi and the team, but I wouldn't have done this. But some of you who are not here, I'm not even based here most of the time, but I have a very wonderful team, and I felt like it's very important that for you to see the faces of the people who are, suffer day in, day out to do this work. So I'm going to start with the very first person that started this journey with, Ferami Adiola. Come out, Ferami. Zainab Haruna. You see, we still have our ex-staff because we are such a, Step Up Nigeria is a family. So even those that have worked with us and left, they still, we build, we have a passionate team. And so that's why I guess you can see it in the work reflected. It's not just a job for people, it's a passion. So I have my ex-director of programs who abandoned me last year. She's here, Zainab Haruna, here with me. Vanessa, come here, my comms team, come. Samuel, Godfrey, Halimat, Judith, Seidu, these are all the people that make all this work here. Judith, Seidu, everybody, because you need to see the whole Lagos team. Come. I just want you to see the face of Step Up. These are the people that go in, day out, canoes, under the rain, trying to propagate. So come on then, come, everybody. Shulamites. I think there's some people outside. I mean, we're about 18 or 19, but some of them, I think they're outside. But just to give you a flavor of, these are the team. They really work hard, and I just want to also, in front of everyone, thank you so much for sharing my vision, my mission, and getting this to where it is today. So, thank you. So, round of applause for them. Standing ovation for them, not me, for them, for my team. So, thank you, everyone, and thank you to all the stakeholders as well who have made this, our educational and anti-corruption agencies, our schools, our teachers, they've just been marvelous. So just thank you, everyone, and I hand over to Ferami.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Onyi, and thank you all so much. Thank you, Mas. Thank you, Sas. Thank you all for standing up for our team. We appreciate the honor given to all of us. We say a very big thank you. And we hope you're excited about the next things that we have coming. We have AI for children. We'll tell you a bit more about that in future. I also wanted to plug our social media handles very quickly. This event is being live streamed on our YouTube channel, but apart from that, all the movies that you saw outside are on our YouTube channel called Step Up TV. So you can find everything on Step Up TV. Our website is stepupnigeria.org. This report will also be domiciled there. And we're on every social media platform at Step Up Nigeria. So we have one more big thing to do, and I would like to invite my program director, Samuel Asimi. He'll be inviting some of our friends from some organizations to help us unveil our board game as well, which we are launching today. So over to you, Samuel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Feromi. So the next on the agenda, will be unveiling our board game, which is called the Do It Right game. The colleagues would bring the game, and the colleagues who actually worked on it very well would just give us a little talk about that. But before then, we would like to call on our friends. We called on a couple in the first time to unveil the reports. I will call on a couple again. So please, the representative from the FCT Education Resource Center, please can you come forward, please? Please put your hands together for him. The representative of the UBEC, please can you come forward? The representative of AFED, please can you come forward? Representative from NAPS, please can you come forward? Then our representative from EFCC, please, can you come forward? Thank you. Okay, just move this way, sir. Okay, good. So, in-house, we have very wonderful, innovative individuals who can actually create things and design lots of things. And I'm actually very impressed to be with this team. You can see what they are holding there is a Do It Right game. I would allow them talk about it very well by the team that created the game. You can see. So what happened was we had a staff retreat a couple of months ago, and we tasked ourselves to be very creative, and we divided ourselves into groups to actually create innovative ways of actually doing the work we do. And one of that was actually developing an anti-corruption game. So this group here won that assignment. What's the prize for them? Please put your hands together for them if you want to put it. So there was a prize for them which they've actually shared amongst themselves. With the results of what they actually produced, we decided to actually make it into a very, very wonderful tool, which is the Do It Right game, which some of you have already seen during the exhibition. So I would call on my deputy director, Fermi, and to please come and tell us about the game. And then our colleagues, our wonderful friends from the education and of course the EFCC can hold it and of course take a picture as well. Thank you. So please put your hands together for Fermi.
Thank you, Samuel. So to our education stakeholders and partners, I would like to present the game. It's called Do It Right, and I'll use a minute just to explain how the game works. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So in a minute, the Do It Right game is targeted at encouraging integrity behaviors in Nigeria. And at Step Up, of course, we like to do things in an interesting way, not just talking through workshops. And we thought, how can we inspire people to do the right thing in a way that's also fun and engaging? So the Do It Right game is a board game. We hope, of course, with more funding, we can make the game an app or even a web-based application that more people can play. But for now, we're starting it off as a board game. And it's based on real-life scenarios. So Godfrey, you can set up one of the boards in front. So it's based off life scenarios where people are tasked with everyday questions that they face in society. And you have to make a choice to do either the right thing or the wrong thing. And so you may be posed with a question, and Godfrey can pass some of the cards around for people to read, that can ask you, you approach a traffic light, it turns red, or you beat a traffic light, and you are stopped by a law enforcement official. Do you pay the fine and go home, or do you bribe the official? And so you have two choices set ahead of you. You have to do one of them. But in our game, there are consequences for wrong actions and there are rewards for right actions. And so if you make a right action, we actually have our game money. And so you're rewarded some money and some tokens for doing the right thing. And if you're caught doing the wrong thing, you receive a sanction card. So of course, if you paid the bribe, you may be asked to take 3 steps back or refund the bank a 500 naira fine. So those kind of things occur in the game. And we've also realized that life is also full of chance. So you may do the right thing and you still won't get a reward for it. And sometimes you do the wrong thing and you also get away with it. So in our game, there are ladders, and we're sure people have a chance to actually look at the game. So there are random ladders placed across the board, whether you're a player doing the right thing or the wrong thing. If you fall on a spot that tells you take a ladder 10 steps up, you climb and make the 10 steps up. And because we know chance happens to both the good and the bad. And so we had to include that in the game. So it wasn't skewed to just say if you do the right thing, you will just automatically grow. But the questions, I think, are the best part for the game. We have about 50 cards with different questions. And it's tailored for families. So there are questions for children. And there are also questions for adults. So even for the kids, as an example of you have the opportunity to cheat during an examination. Your teacher is not in the class. Do you open your book to cheat? Or do you write what you remember? And so children have even those little examples themselves of practical scenarios they are faced with when they play the game. So I'd like to welcome the mind behind the game. This was an idea we came up with, starting with myself, Fermi, and I'd like to introduce Jumoke Bamidele. She works in our Lagos office. You can come forward, please. We have Rilwan Abu. He's the lead for our Lagos office as well. We have really the main man who put everything together. His name is Godfrey Itatu. He's our data analyst. Welcome. Shulamite Okafor. She's a Lagos State Program Associate as well. And our dear office assistant, Judith Wobin. So this was the team who came up with the Do It Right game on behalf of Step Up Nigeria. And so we would like to present the game to our partners, Mrs. Fashuba from NAPS, from EFCC, from AFED, from UBEC, and from the FCT Education Resource Center. And we hope that this tool can support schools and communities to ensure that people are doing the right thing and are acting with integrity. So we present just to also announce that if you are interested in purchasing Do It Right game, we do have a form outside. So please, you can reach out to myself, any of my team members, Godfrey, and you can please visit the exhibition outside. We're not done. You can test out the game, play the game for some time. So it is for sale, but at this moment it's based on pre-order just because we just launched it. So if you're interested, there's a pre-order form where you drop your contact information and we'll let you know when the game is ready for purchase. So you can please take a pre-order form outside if you would like to purchase the game. So we're basically entering the end of the event today, and I said I wanted us to go home with learning a chant that we can teach our friends and our family when we go home. So I'm going to say Step Up Nigeria, and we're going to say we must do better. And I'll say we must do better, and we'll say Step Up Nigeria. So our chant is we must do better. So are we ready to try this? Okay. Step Up Nigeria. We must do better. Step Up Nigeria. We must do better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. So we thank you for staying with us today to give our vote of thanks. I would like to invite my program director in the person of Samuel Asimi for his remarks. But please, just to remind you that the exhibition is running the entire day up until 5 p.m. So please don't be in a hurry to rush. We also have a board where we'd like you to write out your well wishes for our organization. So please, and we also have the virtual reality films. Please don't leave here today without experiencing virtual reality. So before you head out, please visit the exhibition, look around, play the game, watch our films, engage with our tools, and we hope to see you guys celebrating in the next 5 years. Thank you all so much for being here and for your time. Good.
Thanks, Feromi. Feromi already started the vote of thanks, so I'll ride in that wave. We sincerely appreciate you all on behalf of the staff, management of Step Up, and with the permission of the board chair as well. We would like to thank you. We understand you all have lots of things you're doing, but you took out time to actually join us here. We deeply appreciate. We've seen lots of faces in the room who actually answer each time we call, not just in Abuja here, but also not even in the FCT, but also in Lagos, Nasarawa. We appreciate. For our colleagues joining us virtually, we also appreciate very well you taking out time in your busy schedule to actually join us. We can't appreciate you guys enough. We thank you for joining us, and we say you should please keep the energy if possible. Increase the energy you used to respond to our invitations. You used to collaborate with us and also participate and engage in our meetings. So without saying much, I would like to thank you all very much and wish you all successful journeys back to your various offices, homes, and destinations. So thank you very much for coming. After this lunch is just behind us, please have lunch, and the exhibition is also going on. So you can actually just see what we have and play the game and other things that we have. So I would like to thank you all for coming. Thank you all very much.
So sorry, we apologize for the delay. As you may have noticed, we actually finished 15 minutes ahead of our time for today. And unfortunately, the hotel is still putting things together. So we'll be ready to serve lunch in about 10 minutes. If you could please just give us 10 minutes and we'll be serving lunch. Thank you again to all our online guests who joined, Mrs. Unduku, Rachel, Lawrence, Delia, and our other guests online, our ex-colleagues who also joined. We thank you so much for making out the time to be here today. We'll be serving lunch in 10 minutes. Thank you. Please feel free to visit the exhibition in the meantime if you would like to still see our tools. Thank you. Okay, so we have a last-minute surprise. One of the very first schools that Step Up Nigeria visited in 2019 is actually present here. And I know you saw some two young anti-corruption champions who went to Austria, Vienna to make some presentations. The school is called the Battle Axe Academy, and they've been integral to Step Up Nigeria's story. Our very first anti-corruption champions are from that school. Our very first teacher anti-corruption champion is from that school. We launched our storybooks, Tosin Story, in that school as well. We launched the first EFCC anti-corruption club in that school as well. So Mrs. Fashuba, so I'll be calling on my founder, Mrs. Onyinye O. Thank you so much, man. Thank you to the Battle Axe Academy for this gift. We appreciate it. Okay, so I've been informed that lunch is ready to be served. Our lunch is served in a buffet style, so you're permitted to serve yourself. Thank you. So if we're ready, I can start from this aisle. If you're ready, please, you can go ahead to pick your lunch. Thank you. And our second row as well. If you're ready, please, you can pick your lunch. Thank you. Okay, since many people didn't stand, if you're ready from here as well, please, you can pick your lunch. And if you're ready here as well, please pick your lunch. Thank you.